A fan page in Japan held a vote recently for the most popular Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, and I really think the results will surprise you. Pokemon did something similar in 2020, getting hundreds of thousands of people to vote for the Pokemon of the year, and it's really interesting to see which Pokemon became more popular in the years since, and which Pokemon fell off. In 2020, the top 10 Pokemon of the year were Gengar in 10th place, Gardevoir in 9th, Rayquaza in 8th, Garchomp made it to 7th place, Sylveon was in 6th, Umbreon was voted the most popular evolution at 5th place, and Charizard was 4th. The top 3 were Mimikyu in 3rd place with 99,077 votes, Lucario was 2nd with 102,259 votes, and the most popular Pokemon of 2020 with 140,559 votes was Greninja. If you look further down the list, you'll see Chandelure sitting at 18th place with 50,943 votes, which certainly isn't bad, but it's nowhere near the top 10, but 3 years later, the 2023 vote for the most popular Pokemon in Japan featured Chandelure in 3rd place, gaining 15 places in 3 years. I find it super interesting because I know a lot of people love Chandelure, but I always see it getting a lot of scrutiny because, it's got a air quotes lazy design. It's nice to see Chandelure getting a lot of love, I think. The next 2 Pokemon in the vote are actually new Paldean Pokemon. 2nd place is Fuecoco with 2,148 votes, and I suppose there must be something about Dark-type starter Pokemon, because Meowscarada snatches 1st place with 2,674 votes. Sylveon is now the most popular evolution, going from 6th place in 2020 to 4th place in 2023. Tinkaton is 5th, Lucario is 6th, then it goes Mimikyu in 7th, Clodsire in 8th, Gengar in 9th, and Gardevoir in 10th. Looking at the most popular Pokemon from 2020, it really seems like a lot of them have, lost all the hype they used to have. I mean, Greninja started at 1st place in 2020, and then fell all the way down to 29th. Lucario and Mimikyu both only fell 2 places, and Charizard fell from 4th to 23rd. The worst offender, though, is Rayquaza. It peaked at 8th place in 2020 with over 6,000 votes, like I mentioned earlier, and it falls all the way to 98th place in 2023, tying with Suicune at 416 votes and only barely beating out Quaxly, who sits at 100th place with 403 votes. More interesting placements are Chi-Yu at 95th with 423 votes, and it's surprisingly not the most popular Treasure of Ruin legendary. Shen Pao beats it by over 300 votes at 41st place. Latios is at 88th place compared to Latias being all the way at 45th with 747 votes. 747, it's like an aeroplane joke. Despite being introduced less than a month ago, Hydrapple is still sitting at 68th place with 549 votes. Ogerpon Hearthflame sits at 67th place, being horribly beaten by Ogerpon's regular form at 11th place. Pikachu sits at 38th with 844 votes, and Goldengo, number 1000 in the Pokedex, sits at 58th with only 644 votes. Okay, for a bit of context, I'm sure you've all seen this image from the release of Scarlet and Violet, showing that Miraidon was way more popular than Koraidon, but on this list, Miraidon is at 25th place compared to Koraidon's 22nd place, beating it by about 50 votes. This list also works as a way to see which starter Pokemon is the most popular. Obviously Meowscarada is first, but its first form Sprigatito is at 17th with 1,248 votes. Fuecoco is second, and its fully evolved form Skeledirge is 33rd with 871 votes. Quaxly sits at 100th place on the list, but Quaquaval manages to scrape its way up to 48th with 719 votes. Greninja sits at 29th, Rowlet is 39th, Superior is 42nd, closely followed by Primarina at 43rd, Piplup is 56th, Blaziken is 70th, Snivy is 85th, and Cyndaquil is 89th. I wanted to see how this matched up to the most popular Pokemon in, English-speaking countries, so I held a quick poll on YouTube to test. If you want to be part of future polls, you can always subscribe. This poll got way more votes than expected. I think it's at 88 right now as I'm recording this, and Froakie is stealing the show with 30% of the votes. Second place is Rowlet with 26%, followed by Fuecoco with 24%, and Sprigatito in last with 20%. It's really interesting seeing Froakie winning and Sprigatito losing, which is basically the complete opposite of the poll we just looked at, but I don't know, it's difficult to truly tell because different votes will always have different audiences. As for the newly introduced Paradox Pokemon, the most popular is actually Slitherwing at 20th place overall. Maybe I've been playing too much VGC, but I really expected the most popular to be, Iron Hands or Fluttermane or Iron Bundle. Either way, way, Fluttermane gets 28th place with 932 votes, Iron Valiant gets 49th with 706 votes, Screamtail sits at 62nd, and Roaring Moon is 78th. With 2023 coming to a close, it's time to look to the future. So if you want to watch a video talking about a new Pokemon that will be releasing in January, I have a video talking about that.